technological, regulations, and so on, the world does not stop. Even with a pandemic, we are called to act quickly. Companies, education and training providers, expectations of trainees and workers have gained space for discussions about the process of competencies and identifications of skills. There are a huge challenge in adapting the contents of the training offer to the labor needs. Companies, education and training providers are facing some difficulties, but also have gained space for several discussions about these issues. Skills, qualification, talent, needs, convergence between different stakeholders coming from the industry or education or policy, and also possible scenarios in the near future are some of the main topics that will be addressed during the next 30 minutes. To talk about which skills and occupations will best meet the needs of the TCLF industry, we have here today with us Ira and Katarzyna from the Skills and Innovation Department of Euratex. Ira is coordinator of the Skills for Smart TCLF 2030 Erasmus Plus Blueprint projects, and Katarzyna is the person responsible for the development of the sectoral skills strategy within these projects. And now, Ira, Katarzyna, please, the next 25 minutes is yours. You can share your screen.
Yes. Okay, I hope everyone can see the...
Yes, it's okay.
And and so thank you for the chance to present this session on skills. I am Amira. I am the general coordinator of the project. I'm a project officer at Euratex, and I will start by doing a very brief introduction to our Skills for Smart TCLF project. And later on, my colleague Katarzyna will take over to do a bit more in detail analysis of the sectoral skills strategy that we are developing. So, the Skills for Smart TCLF project is a European funded project. And it's part of the first wave of projects under the Blueprint initiative, which was launched by the European Commission back in 2018. The aim of this initiative, the Blueprint initiative, is to boost and to strengthen a strategical cooperation of the key stakeholders of the different industries in Europe, to work together towards, let's say, the solution, or at least trying to address the issue of the existing skill gaps and shortages in the European industry, among which together, so textile, clothing, leather, and food, represented by 22 partners coming from 9 different countries, including Portugal, of course, represented by our colleagues from CTV, CTCP, and working together to implement a set of actions, aiming on one side to create one European-wide sectoral skills strategy for the TCLF industries, through many different actions, among which we have our new developed vet training courses. To be implemented also during 48 months for 4-year project. More, but officially is project to be implemented in 4 years with a grant of 4 million euro. So our main objectives, let's say, if we put them under the umbrella of 3 main pillars, are update the existing training curricula offer for the TCLF in order to try to bridge the gap existing between the real needs of the industry and the actual existing training offer in Europe. Then, as I already said before, develop a European-wide sectoral skills strategy for our industries. And last but not least, upgrade or improve the image of the careers in the TCLF sectors, and to also boost a bit the image of the sectors among the public in order to try to ultimately attract new workers to the industry. So, first big outcome of our project. After our first year, 2018, of hard work of research in order to kind of identify what were the existing gaps and the most urgent needs of the industry in terms of the skills. Our partners worked very hard developing a very extensive desk and field research in order to come up with these 8 high-demand job profiles that you see here in these slides. These 8 were selected among many others based on this extensive research that we did. Then our partners work extensively during the next years, 2018, 2020, in new curricula, new updated curricula, and massive open online courses for each of these job profiles. So actually, there are 4 of them who are, let's say, transversal to the four sectors, and then 4 of them who are sector specific. Then, in parallel, as you see, they all have a picture next to it, which also can imagine first to which kind of skills are, let's say, more representing in each of these profiles and are addressed through each one of them. So we have sustainability technician, who obviously is more linked to green skills and who is relevant to the 4 sectors. The supply chain analyst, who is also transversal but is more related to personal and production skills. And for example, the marketing professional, which is also transversal but is more digital skills related. So this is how you can analyze each of the 4 profiles. My colleague will later on make a link between these profiles and what is the relevance in each of the scenarios developed within the skills strategy. So I will be brief on this, but just for you to know, we are currently actually testing on the field through our pilots these 8 profiles in all the 9 participant countries, to the hard work of our project partners. So let's say that currently we are testing the actual efficiency of these 8 profiles that you see here. Now, this is the work that we are currently doing and will be continued in 2021, purely related to curricula and to training and courses developed within the project. Then, above that, or in parallel to that, the focus that we want to put today in this session is, as I said, on the sectoral skills strategy that we are developing. And for that, I will leave the floor to my colleague Katarzyna, who will present a bit the background of where is this strategy coming from, what is our proposal, and how can that proposal be applied, let's say, for example, at the national level. And she will present briefly the example of Portugal. And so, well, without talking further, I will let my colleague Katarzyna Sulic, the expert and the leading person in this strategy task, to take over and present you the strategy. So, Katarzyna.
Thank you, Ira. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here with us, joining this webinar. I will start, like Ira mentioned, with the main challenges of the TCLF industries. So one of the main challenges, the first one basically is the aging workforce. If we take into consideration the workforce, the TCLF workforce in Europe, we have 34% of people over the age of 50. They will start retiring in 1 year, 2, 5, 10, 15. So it's basically 600,000 employees that will soon leave the industry, which will leave a huge gap. And then we will have to take this decision. What we will do? Do we look for the replacement? Do we close those jobs openings? Or do we, for example, change the character of the production that we are doing on the level of the companies? So 600,000 people in, can you go back still? So 600,000 people in Europe. In Portugal, it's 66,000, and it's basically 32%. So kind of like Portugal is in the same level like Europe. So the second challenge is the skills supply demand gap and what companies are doing to address those skills shortages, skills challenges they have. Like Ira mentioned, we conducted a survey in the first year of the project. That was a survey with companies. And 74% of respondents selected that they're focusing on upskilling when they're facing skills challenges. So they're upskilling already existing workforce. They need courses for that. They need training opportunities to send their workforce, so upgrade their knowledge and skills. The other option is extra jobs in case if they don't have that kind of knowledge in-house, in case if their character of production is completely new, so the existing workforce cannot take care of the new aspects of the production. And the third one is the new trends and drivers of change. So the industry is changing, that we know. It's like very vulnerable for external factors like politics, economy, social changes, environment. And also, like, for example, now with the COVID-19, which also created a huge impact on our industry. So on the next slide, you can see 7 main drivers of change. I don't know if you can see it because I can't. Okay, I see it now, sorry. So basically 7 main drivers of change that we selected based on the results of the industry survey, based on the knowledge of our partners of the project, based on external materials. So over here, you can see that technological change and new customer and environmental changes are the key elements that are influencing the manufacturing character of the industry. So the technological change we can discuss here on 2 actually levels. On one side, it's the context of production. So the technological change on the production, the automatization of production, 3D printing, personalization of production. And on the other side, we can take into consideration the direct contact with customers. So e-commerce, new channels of commerce, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, the different way of interacting with customers, facilitating the way we're consuming certain goods. A new customer is basically how we consume the goods. So the personalization of the goods, the fact that we want to consume in more healthy, sustainable way. Also, for example, the fact that we want to focus on consumption on the local level of the local goods instead of like outsource getting the products made in China, made in Asia, made in different. We want made in EU goods. And then environmental change. Here, it's kind of like in between different factors, because on one side, it's about the cost of production. On the other side, it's about the regulation that we have on the European level, on the national level. So it's kind of like mixed in between that technically it feels like it's far from our reality of the production, but it still influences what we do and how we do those things. So based on that all research that we conducted, the survey within the project, the know-how of our partners, the external sources that we analyze, we created basically 5 scenarios of how the industry may look like in 2030. So on the next slide, you should see those 5 scenarios that are basically presented in the context of skills and job needs. So we have industrial sunset, walled gardens, renaissance of the craft, selective leadership, and a brave new world. So the most optimistic ones are the renaissance of the craft, selective leadership, and the brave new world in context of new skills, needs, and amount of job opportunities that will appear in the industry. So as you can see here, we characterized skills. We divided them between digital skills, green skills, process and production, known also as conventional and very particular for the TCLF industry skills. On the European level, some of you may notice that the European Commission is putting high impact on digital and green skills. They're not in particular very focused on one or other industry. They're more like transversal, but they still will play huge impact on our industries and the way how we are producing, what kind of jobs we will need, what kind of skills. So without further delay, I will present you briefly the scenarios themselves. And I will start with a brave new world on the next slide. Which I can't see right now. I don't know if it's only my problem.
It's the same slide, Katarzyna. We are see also the same slide.
Okay, so maybe I will take over if that's not a problem, and then I will share my own person. That way, it should go faster. Can you see the presentation now in the full screen?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
So a brave new world. It's basically a scenario where the rapid adoption of advanced digital manufacturing technologies and new business models will transform the industry, the European TCLF industry, and will help increase our global competitiveness. So the production will focus here on higher added value goods, more technologically advanced due to automatization of production or thanks to research and development. In consequence, the jobs of the future will be focused especially on high-level qualifications, like you see over here on the chart, professionals, technicians, and associate professionals. This will help in creating of new jobs and new opportunities. It will increase also the mobility of the jobs between different sectors, not only TCLF, but also others, and will open basically new opportunities for the industry. So in terms of skills, as we will need high-level qualification jobs, it will also influence that we will need new skills, new approach towards skills that will focus particularly on digital skills and transdisciplinary skills. The demand for physical tasks in this context, in this scenario, will decrease. So the next scenario is selected leadership. And as you can figure out based on the title, it's about a specialization of the production. We can go in this scenario in 2 different ways, in 2 different areas. On one hand, we can go like in a brave new world on the specialization that is focused on technologically advanced products, or on the other side, we can focus on higher added value, like for example, premium luxury goods or very brand-driven value goods. Here in that context, it will depend mostly on national and regional level of the decisions, because some of the countries are already highly specialized on certain production, So we'll kind of see like the extension of this trend in the future instead of like changing completely the character of production. In terms of job needs here, we'll have a stable level of job needs due to the balance between those subsectors that are growing and those that are fading away. If we can take into consideration more technologically advanced option, we will see the increase of the STEM graduates, increase of the mobility between different sectors, not TCLF only. But if we take into consideration the other option, so high added value premium goods, we will have, unfortunately, a bit more, we will go more towards the seclusion of the industry compared to others. In terms of job situations, you see here that especially important will be professionals, technicians, and associate professionals, as well as plant and machine operators and assemblers. So those jobs opportunities will influence also the skills of the future. But one of the kind of like downsides of this scenario is that high specialization on certain production may lead to extinction of certain skills. So if we focus too narrow on certain production, on certain goods, we may lose our heritage, or we may lose other skills that we already have right now. So the key focus here in this scenario will be on conventional and digital skills. The next scenario, the renaissance of the craft, is basically all about the customer. The customer who's with his behavior gives rise to local production, local consumption, recycling models that are based on the traditional, but on the other side, technologically enhanced ideas and concepts. So the production will be basically a merge between heritage and technological development. And that will offer us a new range of products from different price levels. So on one side, we still can have premium goods, extremely expensive goods that are produced like one sample and that's all. Or on the other side, we can have also cheaper, more accessible goods that are also produced in our country. In terms of the jobs on the future, the job demand will stay on quite high level, especially because there will be a quite important need for the manual skills and the replacement of retiring workforce. However, the workflow exchange between industry will be limited because we will focus very on those conventional skills, which will not be easily transferable between different sectors. So like I already mentioned, the skills of the future, it will be all about conventional skills, also green skills, and using the skills and knowledge that we have in Europe and that we are proud of. The walled garden is unfortunately one of the scenarios that is quite pessimistic in terms of the job needs and skills needs. It's kind of similar to the selective leadership, although less optimistic. Because when selective leadership focuses on innovation, the walled garden focuses on the cost advantages. So we will have here the rise of regionalism, protectionism that will change the character of production. We'll have more clusters, geographically located production. And the industry, the way what we'll produce will be focused on the competitiveness, global competitiveness, but in the context of the cost of production. So like you can see here, and like I mentioned just before, the clusters, the importance of clusters will increase, especially in the key areas for the production. So as you see here, the jobs of the future, basically it will all depend on the geographical location of the industry. So in certain areas that will lose the industry, there will be very little demand for the jobs. When on the other side, in the areas where the industry will focus, accumulate, there we may have a chance to have increase in the jobs needs. So also the mobility between sectors will be on the low level, and also mobility between regions will decrease. In terms of skills needs, we'll have here mostly demand for physical and conventional skills that will dominate over green and digital skills. And unfortunately here, the retirement of the workforce may lead to the disappearance of certain skills and knowledge. So as we will focus on the costs aspects of the production rather than innovation or heritage, we will not feel the need, companies may not feel the need to fight the replacement for skills that are disappearing together with the retiring workforce. Like you can see here, the craft and related trade workers and elementary occupations will play a key role. So the last scenario that I'm going to present today is industry sunset. It's a global race to the bottom, basically, fueled by cheap, fast fashion, the fact that we want to consume, but we don't exactly pay attention how certain things are produced, where they are produced. We just want to have those things. So the industry will face the significant decline in terms of the volume of production. We'll have the situation of outsourcing production back to other countries, other continents. The production that we'll still have will be either premium goods, the high added value, or products, goods that are components of the final items that, for example, textile, clothing, leather, footwear are providing components for other industries, other sectors that are located in Europe. So the distance between different elements of the supply chain plays a crucial role. So unfortunately, jobs and skills needs of the future in this scenario will be quite bad situation, because due to the outsourcing of the job demand, due to outsourcing of the production, there will be no exactly need to focus on the replacement of the retiring workforce or having new employees working on new innovations. Also, the evolution of the industry will suppress the development and exchange the skills and will further decrease the mobility between TCLF industry and other sectors. On the other side, kind of like one of the good positive aspects of this scenario will be increase of the digital skills. But here we'll have mostly in the focus in the context of interaction with customers. So those 5 scenarios we established on the European level. Within the project, we are also analyzing how on the national level in our partners countries, what kind of skills, what kind of scenarios will have the biggest chances of happening. So we conducted in summer 2020 a focus group survey with key stakeholders in Portugal. So over here you can see the scenarios estimations for Portugal for those 5 scenarios. In the light yellow, you can see the European average, and then in purple the Portugal. So basically, as you can see, Portugal actually corresponds. It's quite following the European forecast perception of those scenarios. And the most important, the highest chances of probability, according to our stakeholders that we asked, takes place in the Brave New World and selective leadership. So walled gardens and industrial sunset, so the negative scenarios, we don't think they will happen. We believe that a Brave New World and selective leadership will play a crucial role, will help our industries grow in the future in 2030. So though that's our current results that we have, we are still working on both on the European level and Portuguese level. We are working on the development of the European and national strategies that will be available by the end of the project. So by the end of this year, beginning of next year. By then, we'll publish, make those forecasts, scenarios, and strategies. We will make them public. For the moment, it's kind of just like a sneak peek to what we have, what we established, and what we want to share with you. So that was my last slide. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have right now.
Thank you, Ira and Katarzyna, for your presentation and for making us reflect on a topic that is so important for everyone. In fact, we have 2 questions in the chat. The first question, Ira already answered. Thank you, Ira.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe actually it was better to just, like talk about it will be faster and more complete. But yeah. I was trying, to advance a bit for Katarzyna. But yeah, actually the second one I didn't finish.
Yes, in fact, I have 2 questions. We have the first part that asks if you consider that the education systems are prepared to meet the challenge of these new skills. And the second one is what strategies or paths should be taken. In fact, there are two questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so
about the one about the education system, I will make that and I will let the other one together say that. I think we are all very aware that, the education system in all cases and not only applying to the TCLF needs to change, needs to modernize at a faster path than what it is used to. But also, I mean, I also come from the education background, and I know that that's very big words. It's too easy to say, yeah, the education system needs to adapt, needs to, keep up with the times. But then in reality, that's too challenging. So we are aware of that. So we are not proposing here, or we are not saying just like, the education system needs to adapt, needs to, provide this kind of skills. We are trying to find actually through our new curricula and our developing strategy, we are trying to provide tools for the EU countries or the regional or the regions or even at the school level, try to help on that, providing some tools that they might not be magical, but as we are also aware that we cannot expect to make radical change just with our little project. We are trying to make it through these recommendations on one hand with the tools of the trainings that we are creating and the training materials that we are creating, and also in parallel through the strategy by giving some kind of let's say forecasts, as Katarzyna said, or some kind of scenarios where each one can be maybe recognize themselves. And based on that, maybe take some of those recommendations which are linked to it and make use of it to improve the situation in their country or in their particular situation. I don't know if Katarzyna, you want to add something more specific on this?
I think you made a good summary. We created 5 scenarios, how the industry may look like, but we do not believe that there's only one future for every country. We believe even like on the country level, on the national level, but also sectoral level. So one scenario may be really good for, let's say, textile industry, but really bad for leather industry. For example, a Brave New World can give us like advancements in technological textiles, but it won't help exactly, for example, the leather industry. On the other side, if we focus fully on sustainability aspects, it will help, for example, leather industry, who's a little bit more sustainable in certain aspects, but will really not help clothing industry. So it's not like 0-1 system. We believe that everything can happen. It depends how it's applied. So we created those 5 scenarios, not in a way to tell you, oh, this is exactly what's going to happen, and you have to adapt to this reality, this future, but we're more giving it on the plate, and you pick what you think is happening, you pick what you need from that plate for your company, you check what kind of what you should do with that further to adapt to make your company, your industry better adapted for the future needs. I hope it answers the question.
I didn't see any more question in the chat, so I think it's everything okay. And thank you. Yes.
See, there was a question, which occupations will best address the change? So basically, it depends on the scenarios. Like Ira presented on the slide, so we have 8 high demand job profiles. And over there was a legend of like digital skills, green skills, process and production. So, for example, sustainability technician will be, of course, needed in the renaissance of the craft scenario. On the other side, digital marketing will be more a Brave New World scenario element. The 3D CAD designers, similar situation, but then the textile technologies, leather technologies will be more like conventional skills. So it all depends on what kind of future we see ourselves.
Thank you again, Ira and Katarzyna, and thank you very much for all that are listening us and for participating in this conversation. We invite you all to follow our social media, follow our activities and results. You can find this kind of results about the occupations, qualifications, and also the draft of the sectoral strategy in the Skills for Smart project, yes, in the website. And I don't know if anyone wants to make a last question. If not, we can end the webinar. And once again, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you all, Alexandra, Elsa, and all the guests that decided to join us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.